Mr. Heinrich, if you would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, sir. If everyone would please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Jared, looks like it's time for a roll call.
Yes, sir. Barb Barker.
Here.
Tammy Blank.
Here.
Cinda Brode.
Here.
Julia Tamarki Kukuro. Tom Harley. Mr. Kerr.
Present.
Mrs. Leeper.
Present.
Mrs. Lowry. Mr. Schroed.
Present.
Here. Okay, I'd like to, it sounds like we're all here except for Julia. I'd like to welcome everybody this evening to our virtual meeting again. Thank you all for attending. I do have a board president message that I would like to read. Later this evening, we will again reaffirm the principles of governance and leadership. While it is not required to be affirmed each year, it is simply good practice and appropriate to review as part of School Board Recognition Month. One of its more critical roles is to provide both individual board members as well as the board as a whole guidance on conducting its business. We as individuals, as a community, as a commonwealth, and as a nation have just emerged from the most horrific year I have ever experienced in my 70 years on this good earth. The level of partisanship and collective attitude by any given side, that it is my side, right or wrong, no matter what, has been disastrous across the country. We cannot allow this type of vitriol to drive the school district, nor drive it down to the point where we can no longer have good, honest, and transparent conversations on any subject related to the education of our students. This is especially true as we begin the first conversations on the development of our next comprehensive plan and move into this new year of 2021. This board and the administration over the last 3 to 4 years have bent over backwards to ensure that the business of this district has been open, transparent, and interactive with the public and all stakeholder groups. Sadly, prior to the holidays, there have been allegations and social media posts to the contrary. Specifically, the recent social media post accusing this board and or its committees of secretly planning the closure of Horace Mann Elementary School are categorically false. And those spreading these unfounded allegations or rumors are simply being dishonest with the public. Neither this board nor any of its 4 active standing committees are discussing, nor have they discussed, this plan. As the district starts the development of its comprehensive plan, with the ultimate goal to continue to make the academic and financial strides that we have accomplished and are rightly so proud of over the last 3 to 4 years, we must be able to freely have conversations that are first and foremost in the student's best interest. To limit those conversations limits our ability to find the best solutions to spread in. To limit those conversations limits our ability to find the best solutions. to spread incorrect information, falsehoods, or outright lies not only is a violation of our principles of governance and leadership, but in the end impedes our ability to provide the best education for our students. As board president, I strive to continue down this path of credibility, honesty, and transparency, and thank those board members who have continued to do the same. The pandemic may have set us back a year in our academic planning, but our goals remain the same. As we move forward, I would ask the board and the administration to continue to support the work on the initiatives we started over the last 2 years, taking them to their next logical levels. At the high school, we plan to expand our dual enrollment program into a full-fledged college-level associate degree program. Both the literacy and SEL programs will be further developed in the primary grades and expanded into the intermediate grades of 4 and 5. We have already seen how the literacy efforts that we have been making are paying off, as was reported during last week's academic committee meeting. And finally, new initiatives, including but not limited to the development and implementation of an intermediate grade level STEM or STEAM program, will be started. Over those same 2 years, we were able to hold the line on tax increases and were fortunate enough to develop a surplus again last year. With the current economic environment of our county, we will continue our disciplined approach to fiscal management and start the budget season with the hope, and I emphasize hope, that we may again have no tax increase for the 21-22 school year. With all of the academic program and curriculum development planned for the intermediate grades, we must evaluate the most effective and efficient ways to provide these programs within the limits of our scarce tax dollars. Finally, I would also want to personally thank the members of this board for all of the time, effort, and expertise and their hard work during this last year, especially during the pandemic. It has been critical in our efforts so far this school year, keeping our students back in the classroom. It is, for me, truly appreciated. Thank you. Okay, do we have any public comment, Jared? Jared,
Yes, sir.
do we have any public comment?
No, we do not. Nobody contacted us.
Okay, is there anybody from IAEA, Ask Me, SGA, or Stuka online at this time? Nothing heard. Mike, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight you'll be voting on reaffirming your commitment to the Pennsylvania School Boards Association Principles for Governance and Leadership. School boards are committed to providing every student the opportunity to grow and achieve. The action taken by the board ultimately has both a short and long-term impacts in the classroom. The recent events in our country have reaffirmed my belief that leadership matters, that our words matter, and that our children are watching and learning from us. Collectively, as a board, we have a responsibility to make a multitude of decisions on a regular basis, knowing that many people may not approve of the decisions we make. The pandemic has brought that to light more than ever, and that's okay. As a board and as a community, we can dissent with dignity. We don't always have to agree, but we must continue to place the best interest of our children first, not our own personal interests or desires. We must honor and respect one another even when we disagree. Often, it is not what you say, but rather how you say it that has the most impact. Our words and our actions matter. Our job is to steward effective and efficient governance, sir, by being good listeners and not spreading falsehoods or false hope. I appreciate and respect the fact that none of you have competing values that you must deal with on a daily basis and must balance your own personal needs with that of the students and the community. I would urge you to continue the great work you are doing by always placing the needs of our students first. The difficult part is that the decisions you may make may upset one of the other interest groups you are forced to represent and respect. This is when leadership it matters the most. Often I hear a lot of great talk about people talk about the various types of leadership, one being servant leadership. Honestly, is there really any other type of leadership? Servant leadership has been and always will be the only true type of leadership. As a collective board, we are required to serve the public and our students in a manner that is productive, honest, and transparent, doing what is in the best interest of all, even though all might not be in agreement. We must dissent with dignity and uplift our democracy, not hurt one another because we have different values and views on certain issues. We owe it to ourselves, our community, and our students to have courageous conversations, and this includes even the most uncomfortable ones. That is the burden and duty of leadership, to tell the truth and to have the courage to face the unknown in difficult situations. These principles, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, they're more than rhetoric. They will tell us something about ourselves and our collective group. This vote will reveal something about us, what we stand for, what our values are, and how we will lead as a board. To be quite simple, the voting part is easy. Constantly pushing ourselves to live up to them is the difficult part at times. After all, behavior never lies. I'm appreciative that we meet as much as we do to discuss the numerous challenges, opportunities, failures, and successes we are faced with on a daily basis. This, right here, right now, tonight, is the place to hear objections and concerns, not on social media. We have a unique platform that allows your work to be transparent for all to see, hear, and respond. That forum is not social media. Unfortunately, social media has become a place for people to validate their feelings rather than to connect with one another. The events that happen in our country are a sad and brutal reminder, painful albeit, that democracy is fragile. To preserve it, people of goodwill, leaders with the courage to stand up, leaders who are devoted not to the pursuit of power and personal interest at any cost, but to the common good. I encourage all of us to be mindful of that privilege, that duty, and that responsibility we have to serve our beloved community. To put things in perspective, in a single year's time, our students, our children, have endured a global pandemic, racial unrest, food scarcity, school closures, isolation, and violent political protest. They need us now more than ever. We need to check in on them and tell them that they are loved, that they are okay, and that we will get through this together. In closing, I am proud to serve along with you for the betterment of our community. Let's collectively work together every day to embody and display the principles for governance and leadership, not only in our words, but in our actions. Finally, let's continue treating one another with the kindness and grace we want for ourselves. Let's honor each other by telling the truth, even when it is the hard truth. Let's honor each other even when we disagree. Let's uplift our democracy, our community, and each other. After all, our children are watching. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mike. Ron, it's the solicitor's report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Again, Board Recognition Month, so I appreciate the time that this board gives to each topic and appreciate being a part of it. So thank you guys very much for allowing me to be a part of it. I'll just give a brief update, just quick. If you saw the COVID-19 vaccination release, they are releasing in phases. Phase 1, we're looking at the healthcare professionals, but that's phase 1A. Phase 1B is teachers, education workers. So the education field staff will fall in phase 1B. And then from there, it keeps going down into the different phases with governmental workers, legal services, and things of that nature. But I just wanted to provide an update just so everyone is aware in the way that the phased approach to the vaccinations is rolling out in the communities. That's all for me, though, Mr. President. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ron. I appreciate that update. I think we have a couple of presentations tonight. Mike, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Today is this month, not today. This month is School Board Recognition Month, and I just want to personally say thank you. We talk about a great deal of the burden and duty of leadership, and I just want to take a moment and thank you for all the work you do. Recently, I put an op-ed in the Indiana Gazette that really pays tribute to the work you've done, and I'd be remiss if I didn't call that out again this evening, sir, and say thank you from the bottom of my heart. You've led during good times and in bad times, but throughout both times, you led with dignity and respect, and you make tough decisions, and I give you kudos and applause for that. And so does my daughter here with me this evening. So thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, Mike. Yes, sir, and we also appreciate your participation on the board and all that you've done for the district as well. It looks like Miss Deborah Schaefer is the next presentation. Mike, would you want to go ahead with that one?
Yes, sir. Prior to Christmas break, we had a bus accident where Miss Schaefer escorted some kids off the bus and got them safety. And I sent you pictures of the bus, and I placed it on social media about the severity of the accident. And I just think, as a small token of gratitude and appreciation, I'd like to recognize her here this evening. I met with her on Friday and got a chance to talk to her. She's a kind, humble, and selfless woman. She put those kids ahead of herself and did whatever she could to make sure they're safe. I believe and hope that she's on the call this evening. And if not, I just really wanted to call her out publicly, sir, for her great work, her heroic actions and behavior. And she's just an incredible woman. And when you ask me what defines and makes up Indiana Area School District, it's people like her, sir. I'm not sure if she's on the call. I'll double check as we speak, but again, I really just wanted to call out the great work that she has done. She's quite simply amazing, and we're proud of the work she did. And I know, speaking for the families and this district, we're grateful for her quick action, because as you can see from the pictures of the bus, it was quite serious in nature. And again, Mr. President, I was hopeful she's on. I don't see her on, and that concludes our presentation, sir.
Thank you, Mike. I too would like to add my congratulations and my thanks to Ms. Schaefer for her quick action. One of the tests is your coolness under fire, and quite literally, she kept her cool while the bus was burning, and she got everybody out and took care of her number one charge, which was the students. The bus is a piece of equipment that can be replaced at any time. And I can't say enough about how appreciative we are as a board, as I am individually, for the coolness that she had and her courage and her quick thinking and action to make this all happen. Is there anything else that any other board members would like to say at this point?
There's a Mr. Ryan Schaefer on that has the same spelling of the last name. Is that Mrs. Schaefer?
Mr. Heinrich, it could be. She said her boys have computers and she's going to be using her computer. So, Ms. Schaefer, if you can hear us, please unmute yourself. And if you'd like to say a few words, if that's okay with you, Mr. President, I apologize if I'm speaking out of turn.
No, go ahead. I would love to hear from her.
I think she may be having some technical difficulties. How about, Mr. President, if she joins in later, we'll take a moment to recognize her at that time. And I'll defer back to you and the rest of the board for any other comments, sir.
Sounds good, Mike. Any other comments from the board? Okay, let's move on to the approval of the minutes in the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last two meetings on the 7th of December and the agenda for this evening?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. We'll vote in the negative. Anybody opposed to accepting these minutes and the agenda, please say nay or no now. Nothing heard. The chair assumes unanimous consent. We're on to board reports. Uta, looks like the Indiana County Technology Center's up.
Okay, we met on December the 15th. We set our meeting schedule for 2021. We approved the Act 93 contract. Pardon me?
Hello?
I think Deborah's on the line there, Uta. Let's just take a quick pause. Thank you for joining us, Deborah.
Yeah, I was having problems with my computer trying to get onto the voice thing, so I'm using my phone as the voice.
Well, we're glad you joined us, and you know, we hope you heard what we said. But again, just very briefly, we're grateful for your coolness under fire and taking care of our students. Mike, I think wanted to add to that.
Yeah, thank you. Ms. Schaefer, I told the board, informed the community what a pleasure it was meeting you, how selfless and humble you were, and on behalf of the district and those families, we can't thank you enough for your quick action. When I met with you, you were very humble and dismissive of the praise, and you deserve it. Those are people's lives, and your quick action saved a lot of lives, because when I looked at that bus, we won't be using that bus again, to put it lightly. You know. So we'd like to give you just a few minutes if there's anything on the board, Ms. Schaefer.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
We just want to give you the floor if there's anything you'd like to say to the board. If not, you have their eternal gratitude for your quick and swift action.
Do they have any questions? What do they want to know? Anything? I don't know.
I think, Mr. President, if you could just summarize it on behalf of the board, thanking her for her work. I think the pictures say 1,000 words, but I'll defer to you, Mr. President.
No, as I said, Ms. Schaefer, we were very impressed with the fact that your coolness and your good judgment and taking care of the students. That's I know a little bit about vehicles and vehicle maintenance, and that could have been a real disaster instead of just simply the loss of a bus. And we can't thank you enough for your you know, what you did and how you took care of the students.
Well, I thank you for that.
Okay, Terry Kerr, I think just sent you a thanks through the text or through the chat room. Terry, anything you'd like to add?
I'll just echo what was already said. Appreciate how you handled that. Not sure everybody could, so we had the right person on the right bus at the right time. So thanks.
Tamara, anything you'd like to add to that?
No, just a great big thank you. Yeah, it's amazing what you did and that you were able to think fast and keep everybody safe. So thank you.
So thank you for joining us, Ms. Schaefer. Please feel free to reach out to my office if you need anything. And again, we're humbled that you were able to take time tonight, and thank you for your work. Mr. President?
Okay, thanks again, Ms. Schaefer. I think, Uta, you were in the middle of your report. If you would, please go ahead.
Sure. We have a somebody in the business office at the ICTC who is on medical leave, and so we have a actually someone we all know. Dale Kirsch is working there 3 days a week until their audit is complete. We accepted a $2,000 grant from the Elks, so thank you to them. Submitted PCCD grant final report, which is no small feat. We learned that the CDL enrollment is continuing and there's lots of interest. And since January, they've had 34 students complete. We are looking at offering state vehicle inspection classes at the ICTC, and the land prep for the WCCC Challenger project is going to begin this month.
Okay, very good. IU 28, Barb, you're up.
We do not have a meeting this month, so I don't have anything to report.
Okay, thanks, Barb. Tom, looks like academic and extracurricular, your turn.
Thank you, Walter. We had a meeting on January 4th. I'll be brief. Mike, if I skip over something too quickly, please jump in. We talked about the composition of the the comprehensive planning committee. We talked about the surge training. We reviewed the athletic and extracurricular health and safety plan, and recommended the board that we stay the course. We reviewed the literacy newsletter from the district that was honored a few times across the state. We talked to Miss Casey Coburn about the IEP Speech and Language Partnership, and found that she had 6 students that were looking for a home. There's a motion on the committee to expand that contract. At the time, the board and the committee didn't know the cost of this, but that's coming up. We talked about conditions for reopening and where we were on that. Vaccines, substitute information. We rather lengthy conversation on that. I believe the committee is recommending we stay the course until we have more clarity. But we talked about testing in a couple of ways, various pathways to graduation. We had reports from each of the buildings, where they were, what they were doing, how we're getting started for the beginning of the new year. Walter, I have 5253. I have 5.2 for the makeup of the planning committee. 5.3 is professional development. 5.4 is the cooperative agreement with IUP, and 5.5 is the athletic and extracurricular health and safety plan. Does anybody have any objections to taking those all at one time?
Can we pull 5.4 out, or just make a note? I need to abstain from that one.
I'll just pull it out and I'll run it through. Okay, I move that the board approves 5.2 comprehensive planning committee, 5.3 professional development, 5.5 athletic and extracurricular health and safety plan update as submitted.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved on second and 5.2, 5.3, and 5.5. Do we have any further discussion, questions, or comments on those 3 motions?
Walter, I'd like to comment on 5.5, just that this is the recommendation of the safety committee. These people have been doing a yeoman job on paying attention and making adjustments as we go along. And not only our people, but people from the community. And I want to thank them for their efforts. I think, Mike, we've only been closed 7 days so far, which is remarkable. So let's keep that up. Any other comments?
Mike, you were going to say something?
No, I'm good, sir. I was just going to reaffirm Mr. Harley's comments, sir. I apologize.
And that's not a problem. I do want to reiterate Mike or Tom's comments. I appreciate the work that 2 of our board members I know have been working on, Yuta and Cinda, Rob Heinrich, the athletic director, the high school principal, community member. So I do want to thank everybody for that help. Okay, if there are no further questions, comments, or discussions, we'll vote for these in the negative. Is there anybody who is opposed to any of these 3 motions? Please say no or nay at this point. Okay, nothing heard. The chair assumes that those 3 motions pass unanimously. Okay, let's do 5.4, Tom.
I move that the board approves motion 5.4, that based on the recommendation of the committee, the board approves a cooperative agreement for speech and language pathology services between Indiana Area School District and Indiana University of Pennsylvania as submitted.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve this IUP cooperative agreement. Mike, would you or Rob Heinrich like to give just a few brief words for the benefit of the public as to what this motion will do for the district.
Thank you, Mr. President. It expands our current partnership from what we are doing, providing tiered support at Ben Franklin. We're going to now roll that out at East Pike. So it's in line with our literacy vision. It's in line in the best interest of students, and we're increasing our capacity now in the district to provide, again, more timely supports. When you look at how many people are pulled in different directions, where there are asynchronous, synchronous teachers and teaching live, this is all about a system of support. We developed a great partnership with IUP, and we look forward to continuing it for the sake and betterment of our early learners. So we're proud of this agreement, and it has our full support, and I hope it has yours as well, sir.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Are there any other questions or comments from board members? Uta, your mic is hot.
Yep. I really enjoyed and appreciated the presentation we heard at the Academic and Extracurricular Committee meeting about this, and think that this has been an excellent partnership. And I don't want anybody to misconstrue the fact that I do need to abstain from this motion because the agreement will be coming through my office where I work. So if somebody, Jared, if you can, or Anise can send me the form that I need to fill out, that'd be
5, 6, 7, 8.
My mic is hot. I apologize. She's counting.
Well, at least somebody around here can count. Was that all, Uta, then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Tamara, your mic's hot.
Yes, I also have to abstain because I work in that department, and but I do fully support this partnership. And in addition to helping our students, it also allows the university to train future speech pathologists. So that is very important as well. So in addition to receiving help, you are also helping those graduate students by accepting this contract. So thank you for that too.
Okay, Tom, your mic's still hot. Is there anything else you'd like to add at this point?
Yeah, I have no intention of abstaining for this. I'm massively in favor, excited to get these students involved. We've had 4 of them in the last semester. We're going to move up to 10 of these students. These are graduate students that are really going to help, and we're going to help them, as Tamara said. So it's a win-win-win all the way around. It couldn't have come at a better time. So and as I said in the meeting before, I thank the administration and the university for being able to put this together so quickly and getting help on the ground as soon as possible. ASAP, I believe, was what they said. So wildly enthusiastic about this one. So moving ahead.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Are there any other board members that I'm not seeing on my screen that would like to add a comment at this point? Okay, I do want to say that I think this is really a fabulous opportunity, and that anything we can do to provide our students some additional support, particularly those folks in the reading and that may have been hurt by this pandemic that we've all suffered through, is something that's outstanding, and I thank IUP and the administration for putting this all together. Because we have a couple of abstentions, let's go ahead and vote in the chat room. If you're in favor, please indicate, or opposed or abstain, please indicate appropriately in the chat room. Okay, it appears that the motion has, oops, I guess I goofed. That was 5.4 instead of 5.3. It looks like 5.4 has been approved. Okay, policy and personnel. Uta, you are up.
Okay, we met this evening right before this meeting, and many of the items we discussed are on the agenda this evening. We discussed having department grade level literacy coordinators. We talked about adding some additional literacy leaders to continue our progress in that area. We talked about the need for some additional long-term substitutes. We discussed the RMC wellness contract. We had second reading of policies that are on the agenda. We had first reading of some policies where we will do a second reading at a upcoming meeting. We discussed the principles for governance and leadership, which we'll be visiting in a motion tonight as well. We had some staffing updates. We did have a non-agenda item discussion preliminarily about when we might reopen for face-to-face instruction. One of the items under consideration is that waiting until staff have received the second dose of the vaccine and a sufficient time has passed for immunity after the vaccine is administered. Nothing is been decided. It was just part of a discussion. The wearing of PPE masks will continue if we are able to open face-to-face. So that's just for a future time. And then, excuse me, we talked about the IUP speech partnership that we just voted on. So that is my brief report. Are there any items that you all want to pull out? We've got 6.2 well, I'd like to, can we do 6.2 to 6.13, pulling out 612?
Which one is 612?
612 is principles for governance and leadership. I just want to go over what they say.
No, thank you, Uta, for doing that. I was going to request that. We can vote on these others in the negative, but I'd like to take a roll call vote on 612.
Okay.
Walter or Uta?
Yes.
Can we pull out, I can't see it because it's not on there anymore. Can we pull out, keep going. I want to pull out the motion about Mr. Trout retiring.
Okay.
Yeah, 6.4.
Okay.
And Mr. Sokol, so 6.5 also. Thank you.
Okay, so I need a motion to, for agenda item 6.2, 6.3, 6.6 through 6.11 and 6.13.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Do we have any additional comments, questions, or discussion on those motions?
Walter, we need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay, we now have a second on that. Again, the question is additional questions, comments, or further discussion on these motions. Cindy, you've got your hand up.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right, so not hearing any other input, let's go ahead and vote for these motions in the negative. If you wish to oppose any of these motions, please say no or nay at this point. Nothing heard. The chair assumes that they pass unanimously. Go ahead with the next motions, Uta.
Okay, the next motion is Resignation of Supervisor of Building and Grounds, that the board accepts with regret the letter of resignation from Gregory Trout, Supervisor of Buildings and Grounds, due to retirement effective July 6, 2021, and authorize administration to post, advertise, and hire for this position.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I haven't made up my mind yet whether I'm going to approve it or not. Mr. Trout has been such a great guy and has really been kept us out of a lot of trouble during the upkeep during this pandemic. So it's certainly a tough choice. But is there any other questions, comments, or discussion from the board members on 6.4?
Walter, I don't think we can keep Greg from retiring. We could change his birth certificate. But I agree with you. He has been just the champ. He's been available weekend, summer. He certainly helped Terry and I on the Buildings and Grounds Committee. He was yeoman for the ESCO project. He's been working on the East Pike entryway and doing his job and cleaning the buildings. I can't say enough good things about Greg. I wish he wasn't retiring. I hope he had another 10 years in him. But I guess we all age out at some point. So congratulations to Terry. I'm sorry, to Greg, and I wish him well. And I hope that we can find someone half as good as he is. Thank you.
Okay, Terry, you have your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, basically the same comments that Tom just made. I really enjoyed working with Mr. Trout for the past 3 years. He's a wealth of information, but probably more importantly is he's just a tremendous individual. There was never a time that I had conversation with him that he didn't make me feel that welcome and helping me, and look forward to Mr. Harley had mentioned at the committee meeting earlier about getting this position posted and filled prior to Greg leaving, because you can't make up 30-some years of experience and expertise which Mr. Trout has. So that could be valuable for the school district to capture at least some of that knowledge and expertise before he leaves. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Terry. Cinda, I think you had your hand up next.
Yes, I want to say the same thing that Tom said and the same thing that Terry said. And I very seriously want to ask Walter, what happens if we say no? If everybody voted no, seriously, what happens? Because Greg has been with the school district for a long time and has been just the consummate professional. He always had the district's best interest at heart and worked well with the board. So
I would defer to Ron Rapak for the answer to that question, Cinda.
Okay, Ron, you're up.
I think the legal term is indentured servitude.
There you go. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Uta, you've got your hand up and your mic's hot.
Yes, thank you. I just want to thank Mr. Trout for everything that he's done, and also for explaining to those of us who have not done that kind of work for the number of years that he has, when we've had questions that to him may seem like they're pretty logical or evident, and he's always been very patient and gotten us the information that we needed to make good decisions. And so thank you, and you'll be missed.
Okay, thanks, Uta. Tamara, I see you've raised your hand.
Just the same as everybody else. This is a sad day for us, I think, but a very, well, I guess we have a couple more months, left, but Greg has definitely earned it, and just ditto everything everybody said. We will miss him.
Okay, any other comments, questions, or discussion at this point? We could go ahead and we'll vote in the negative on this. Again, anybody opposed to accepting, seriously opposed to accepting the resignation of Greg Trout, please say no or nay at this point. Okay, nothing heard. The chair assumes that it passes unanimously. Okay, next, Uta.
Yep. 6.5, that the board accepts with regret the resignation from Joseph Sokol, driver education teacher, due to retirement effective July 15th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Questions, comments, or discussion on 6.5?
I just want to thank Mr. Sokol for all of his patience. I cannot imagine teaching driver's ed to my own child, much less a long list of our ISD students. And from what I've heard, he has done an outstanding job, and we are very fortunate to have him working with us. And I wish him all the best in his retirement.
Okay, anybody else? Cindy, your hand's up.
Yes, I would like to thank Mr. Sokol too. And I've never heard of a driver's ed student who was taught by Mr. Sokol. I've never heard of any of them being reckless drivers, you know, causing accidents, anything bad at all. And I really want to thank Mr. Sokol for his diligence and extra care that he took during the pandemic, when he continued teaching students in a small car, in, you know, wearing masks. And after every single student got out of the driver's seat, he meticulously cleaned the entire car and then went about, you know, teaching the next student, and was very cautious and very safe. And I really appreciate that and wish him well in his retirement. Thank you for many years of good service.
Okay, thanks for those comments, Barb. Or, I'm sorry, Cinda and Uta. Is there any other comments at this point? Nothing heard. At this point, we'll again vote in the negative. Anybody opposed to accepting the resignation due to retirement of Joe Sokol, please say no or nay at this point. Nothing heard. The chair assumes that that motion passes unanimously. Okay, Uta, last one.
Okay. Point 12, principles for governance and leadership, that the board adopt the principles for governance and leadership established by the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. I'm going to read through what they say because I think it's important that we all revisit this. To advocate earnestly, promote public education as a keystone of democracy, engage the community by seeking input, building support networks, and generating action. Champion public education by engaging members of local, state, and federal legislative bodies. To lead responsibly, prepare for, attend, and actively participate in board meetings. Work together in a spirit of harmony, respect, and cooperation. Participate in professional development, training, and board retreats. Collaborate with the superintendent as the team of 10. To govern effectively, adherence to an established set of rules and procedures for board operations. Develop, adopt, revise, and review policy. Align decisions to policy. Differentiate between governance and management, delegating management tasks to administration. Allocate finances and resources. Ensure compliance with local, state, and federal laws. To plan thoughtfully. Adopt and implement a collaborative, comprehensive planning process, including regular reviews. Set annual goals that are aligned with a comprehensive plan. Develop a financial plan that anticipates both short and long-term needs. Formulate a master facilities plan conducive to teaching and learning. To evaluate continuously. Utilize appropriate data to make informed decisions. Use effective practices for the evaluation of the superintendent. Assess student growth and achievement. Review effectiveness of the comprehensive plan. Communicate clearly. Promote open, honest, and respectful dialogue among the board, staff, and community. Encourage input and support for the district from the school community. Protect confidentiality. Honor the sanctity of executive session. To act ethically. Never use the position for improper benefit to self or others. Act to avoid actual or perceived conflicts of interest. Recognize the absence of authority outside of the collective board. Respect the role, authority, and input of the superintendent. Balance responsibility to provide educational programs with being stewards of community resources. Abide by the majority decision.
Second.
Okay, Uta and Terry, thank you. Mike, I think we have a guest on board tonight, Mr. Somerville, that we've asked to join us this evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Let me introduce Mr. Somerville, who has years of experience as an educator and an administrator in the Commonwealth, but also now serving a unique role at the PSBA. We invite him here to spend a couple minutes. I know we have a lot going on too, so we only ask for a few brief minutes to come in and really talk about the principles of governance and what they mean like and feel like from his purview and his perspective, and offer any type of support he can. So with that, Mr. Somerville, I'll turn to you for a couple of moments.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vukovic. I just want to start off by telling you I really appreciated the opening remarks by Mr. Schroth and the comments that you made. I think those things have to be said, and I was glad to be able to participate this evening so I could hear those very, very insightful comments. You have 9 people on your school board, plus your superintendent, who's a member of the team of 10. At some point, you all made a commitment to help move a school district forward as either a superintendent or a member of the Board of Education. I think I've lived my life with one mantra, among others, that is, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. And I think this evening, by approving the principles for governance and leadership, you're not just going to talk about things that are important, but you're going to take an action. And at some point, we will have a poster for you, suitable for signature by the team of 10, that you can post in your boardroom as a reminder to each board member, your administrative team, and your community, what is the basis for how you're going to do business. I just wanted to clarify one thing, however. PSBA did not create these principles. They were actually created by school board directors just like you. There was a group of people across the state that created these principles and brought them to the PSBA Delegate Assembly at the annual School Leadership Conference in 2015, and that's where they were approved. At PSBA, we are encouraged on a regular basis to get districts to take the action that you took this evening. And now you can count Indiana Area School District among about 250 out of the 500 districts that have signed on to adopting the principles. I don't want to go on any longer, except for the fact this is School Board Directors Recognition Month. And I would just like to make a couple really quick comments. School board directors put an average of about 10 hours a month into their jobs. I'm sure there are some who put in more. And what we need to know is that they are unpaid volunteers. And we want to celebrate and recognize the challenges and the vital work the boards do on behalf of their students, schools, and their families. As elected officials, school directors are invested in their communities. They are our friends, our neighbors, local leaders, parents, and engaged citizens. The impact of the coronavirus pandemic has added an additional challenge to school boards as they were tasked making critical decisions quickly with the best information available. During this month of January, which is designated for recognizing these public servants, PSBA wants to take a moment to express our gratitude for school directors' time and efforts year-round on behalf of your communities. The job you do ensures your schools continue to provide opportunities for success for every student, even during unprecedented circumstances. So on behalf of PSBA and our governing board and our CEO, Nathan Maines, I want to congratulate you on all the good work that you do. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to my good friend, Ron Repack. We go back quite a few years Ron's one of the good guys, and it was nice to see him here this evening. So take care of yourself, Ron. I'm ready to move on, Mr. Vukovic and Mr. Schroth. I know you have other business to take care of, but I wanted to thank you again for allowing me to join you this evening.
Okay, I think Ron, his mic was hot there for a minute. Maybe he would wanted to add something there.
No, just thank you, Mr. Somerville. I haven't seen him in quite some time. So he was a board of directors when I met him, on a board of directors when I met him. Just wanted to thank him for the kind comments. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Take care, folks. Have a nice evening.
Okay, somebody else had their hand up.
Okay.
Okay. Jim, I wanted to tell you that we do have a copy of those principles hanging in our boardroom.
Okay.
I don't know that we've all signed them, but there is a large poster size copy of them hanging on the one door in the boardroom. Unfortunately, our meeting virtually kind of limits the public's ability to see those on a regular basis, as well as our own ability to do that. But hopefully one of these days we'll be back to meeting at least some of our meetings in the boardroom.
Okay, and these can get on the website and just verify that the action was taken this evening, and they'll make sure that you're stay on the website as a district that took this action, and they'll probably send you out another poster for signing if you need it. But hopefully things are going to improve and you'll all be back together soon. Again, thank you for your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to be with you this evening.
Okay, thanks again, Jim. Are there any other questions, comments, or further discussion on the principles of governance and leadership? Okay, nothing heard. I'd like to do this by roll call. Jared, if you would please, we'll vote on this by roll call.
Barb Barker,
Yes.
Tammy Blank, Tammy Blank,
Mr. Crow and I should be leaving the meeting, so I apologize.
okay. Cinda Brode,
Yes.
Tom Harley,
Yes.
Mr. Kerr,
Yes.
Mrs. Leeper,
Yes.
Mrs. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Schroth.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0, or 7-0, I'm sorry.
Okay, Jared, thank you very much. And thanks, Utah, that was a long report, but well done. Buildings and grounds. Terry, your turn.
Okay, thank you. We have not had a committee meeting since our last board meeting, so I was asked to give a brief update on the East Pike entrance project, and I actually drove out through the parking lot yesterday afternoon just to look at it, and first impressions again were that you really can't even tell that it's, once it's all completed, you won't even be able to really tell that it's an addition. It fits in very well with the rest of the building. The brick matches up very well. You can hardly even tell that there's a difference. The painting of the walls and door frames are all done. The ceiling tile, the lights, the air diffusers are all in place. The floor was going to be leveled on Friday, and then they could start installing the flooring. The mailboxes were to be installed today. The exterior siding panels are being completed and near completion, so then they'll start to be able to finish up the soffit fascia. And then once the floor is installed, they'll be able to do the plumbing fixtures. And Mr. Trout has been working with the building inspectors to have the inspections done. So until that's done, they will not be able to move the furniture and obtain occupancy, but that should be forthcoming here shortly. That's all, Walter. Thank you.
Okay, Terry, that's all good news. Glad to hear that. Julia's not here tonight. Cinda, would you like to do the audit and finance report?
I don't mind doing it, but I'm not prepared.
Well, we just have good word tonight then.
Terry, do you want to do it? Do you know what we did at the meeting?
I do not have the committee meeting report off the minutes, but we could go over that the next time.
Okay.
We could, I think, unless anybody has any objection, I think we could take 8.2, 8.3, and 8.4 together, even though we'll probably have a little bit of discussion on 8.4. So if that's okay, I'll move 8.2, 8.3, and 8.4.
Second.
Okay, moved in second. Questions, comments, or discussion? Jared, your mic's hot. Why don't you lead it out?
Thank you, Mr. Schroth. My comments or discussion is really on the bond issuance for the refinancing. I did want to kind of turn the floor over, if it's okay. We have Chris Brewer and Jamie Doyle here tonight. Chris is our bond counsel and Jamie is our financial advisor. They are really the two people who have worked over the past almost 2 months to make this refinancing possible. And I will let them kind of cover their work that they put into it and be here for any questions that any of the board members may have.
Good evening. Is it possible to have my presentation pulled up on the screen?
Yes, Jamie, I think I gave it to Randy, so he should be pulling it up right now.
Great. Great. So while Randy picks that up, I'll go ahead and get started. Good evening. I'm Jamie Doyle from Public Financial Management, independent financial advisor to the school district. And with me this evening is my colleague, Carly Boyer. And we have a bit of good news to share with you this evening. You may recall back in November when we first talked about this refunding opportunity with you, that we showed you net savings projections of about $66,000, and the board set a minimum acceptable savings target of $50,000. And we did quite a bit better than that, I'm happy to report. So if you scroll to the first page, go through that very quickly, and actually you can scroll to the bottom chart. The good news is that the interest rate environment cooperated very nicely, and we continued to hover near the all-time lows that we've been enjoying from a borrowing standpoint. If you go to the next page, you'll see a summary of the 8 different banks that responded to our bank loan RFP as part of the dual track process, meaning we got the bank loan RFPs in, we evaluated them. The winning bank loan proposal came from Key Government Finance, and they proposed a fixed rate of 0.94%, so just under 1%, and that's fixed through maturity. 0 bank fees there in column 5, and they gave us the prepayment terms that we asked for, prepaid in whole, but not in part at any time with no penalty. So that's great. In column 7, you can see they did request that the rate be accepted by December 29th, which was impossible because that was well before tonight's meeting. And so what they agreed to was an email from me saying that PFM was going to recommend that the board accept their proposal this evening, and then that would be sufficient to cover that requirement. It's not binding or anything, just I did send an email saying that I was going to recommend the board accept the key proposal this evening. Annual financial statements, that's normal. They just want to do surveillance and track your financial progress each year. And the fact that they are not able to act as a paying agent was a condition, and that's fine. We don't need them to act as a paying agent. You can see that the cover bid was just over 1%, 1.098%. But the key winning proposal was better than the bond market, and that is the one we're recommending this evening. You can see in that top box, this refunds the series of 2012, 2013, and 15A series that the district currently has outstanding. no new money. Just want to be clear about that. This is a refunding only. And as I mentioned in November, we're not extending the debt at all, simply replacing the old higher rates with today's lower 0.94%. If you scroll to the next page, this is the most important page in here. You can see net local effort savings to the district came in at $246,976. And as you look down below in column 4, you can see the way you'll recognize these net savings is roughly $96,500 in the current fiscal year, meaning that money is sitting in your general fund right now. And when the bill comes in the spring, it'll be for $96,500 less than it otherwise would have been. And then roughly $21,000 a year each and every remaining year on the issue. So the balance of the savings are spread relatively equally over the remaining life. As a percent of refunded bonds, you can see right above the number 4 column there, 2.83%. You may recall me saying in the past the historic benchmark is a refunding should generate about 2% net savings. And we never thought this one was going to generate 2% because, again, it's a benchmark. It's not a rule. It's not a law. So again, we had talked about 66,000 back in November. So very, very successful competitive process. And that's why we're recommending you accept the key proposal this evening. The rest of the pages are really just the mechanics. We could jump to page number 8. That's the backup page. These next pages that we're scrolling through are just the bonds that they're being refunded. Those pages haven't changed from my initial presentation. This page shows how much money we need to pay those 3 issues off. And this is the important page. This is the backup page to the savings we just looked at. So you can see now in column 3, the 0.94%. And again, not extending the debt at all. But that lower rate is what produces the savings you see in column 10. And that box at the bottom, the good news is you don't have to share any of the savings with the state because they don't reimburse you on the debt service of these issues to begin with. So that's good. If you scroll to the next page, you'll see the sources and uses of funds. And I would just point out on that next page, there we go. That settlement would be scheduled for February 16th if you accept the key proposal this evening. And that yield of the issue, the 0.944%, is the rate we would report to the IRS on this very successful tax-exempt refunding. The rest of the pages are just a summary of the highlights I just hit and the key bank proposal itself, if you'd like to peruse that at your leisure. But before I turn it over to Chris Brewer, your bond counsel from Dinsmore and Scholl, to answer any questions on the resolution, I would just say that I was very pleased with the competitive process. I'm extremely pleased with the outcome. I would like to publicly thank Jared, your business manager, for all of his help in bringing us to this very successful result, as well as your solicitor and Chris and all the members of the financing team. It really does take a team effort to deliver positive results such as these. So I will pause there to answer any questions that you may have before I turn it over to Mr. Brewer and the resolution.
All right. Well, this is Chris Brewer, your bond attorney, and Jamie's not going to go anywhere. So if you think of a question on the financial side as I present the resolution, we can certainly jump back. I want to thank Jamie for what was, as is always, a very good, thorough presentation, and told you the things you really want to hear, which is how much money can you save. It falls to me to tell you the more mundane things, which is that I've drafted a resolution, shared it with your administration, with Mr. Repack, with Jamie, and also with, although we're not presuming anything, but we shared it also with counsel for Key Bank so that we could have a document before you tonight that's very complete. If you are interested and would like to accept the proposal from Key Bank, then passing the resolution in one action does it all. It authorizes the refunding bank loan, authorizes your transaction with Key, sets out all the terms and conditions that are required under the Debt Act for you as a school district to incur debt. You are incurring new debt, But just like refinancing a home mortgage, you are only incurring the new debt in order to pay off the old. And if you take action tonight, we will tomorrow or the next day send instructions to your existing paying agent bank on the 2013 and 12 bonds to call those in. We'll also be communicating with First Commonwealth to pay off the 15 loan, and set you on that path that Jamie mentioned, that we would anticipate reaching a settlement on February 16th. The month's time is to both get in the old debt and get it called, but also to process paperwork with the Department of Community and Economic Development, and do what is always sort of done in this sort of transaction. If this were, again, a home purchase or a home refinancing, tonight you're accepting the proposal, you're getting a rate letter, you're knowing what your borrowing costs are going to be, and then it takes, we lawyers, Ron and I, about a month to get it closed. And that's what we would do heading into February 16th. So the resolution, as I said, has been reviewed. It's been held for public inspection. It's a relatively short form resolution hitting the keynotes that are required under the Debt Act. It includes as an appendix a loan agreement and a note with the bank. And again, those have been provided a preliminary review, so we know that the bank is comfortable, and we're not, we shouldn't hit any speed bumps going forward. Questions for me on the legal document before I turn it back to you, Mr. President, for a vote?
Okay, folks, any questions for Chris or Jamie at this point?
I do not have any questions, Walter, but want to thank Jamie and Chris for being clear and concise and making it all understood, at least to me, I think. So to me, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to support the motion. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Terry. Any other questions, comments, or further discussion on 8.4? Okay, hearing none, let's take this one also by roll call. Jared, if you would, please.
Cinda Brode,
Yes.
Tom Harley,
Yes.
Mr. Kerr,
Yes.
Mrs. Leeper,
Yes.
Mrs. Lowry,
Yes.
Mr. Schroed,
Yes.
Barb Barker.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you, Jared. Chris, you and Jamie know what to do now. So looks like we're down to the closing of the meeting. Yeah, Randy, if you would scroll up for me there a little bit. We didn't have any discussion items. Is there any public comment on an item at this point in time? Please indicate.
I have public comment.
Chauncey, you had, did you have a question, Chauncey?
Oh, sure. Yes, I was going to ask if in the summary of, I'm sorry about that. In the summary of the executive session, could you state specifically which personnel issues were under discussion and the strategy or the negotiation, which collective bargaining agreement might be up for renewal this year or under discussion, and the attorney issues, which litigation was the subject of the executive session. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I'll refer to Ron, but Barb, you said you had public comment?
Yes, I do. My comments are related to topic 1.5 on the agenda, based off the board president's message. In moving forward, if the board and committees does not want the community members to be concerned about closing Horseman Elementary School, perhaps it's time to start investing and doing the necessary repairs to the building. For starters, the board and committee could look at upgrading the electrical system, roof, and handicap accessibility in the building. Thank you.
Okay, Barb, thank you. So we're down to 9.3. We had some enclosures. On 9.4, I will defer to Ron Rapak. Ron, would you address the issues that Chauncey has raised?
Yeah, absolutely, not a problem. The labor relation issues, teachers' contract is actually up in 2022, but looking to get a start on that is always a good idea. So that was part of the discussion. And then litigation issues are the tax assessment appeals. If you recall, last meeting, the board authorized me to file petitions in those tax assessment appeals. So it was just an update on those, that process. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, Ron, thank you. Our next board meeting will be a special board meeting on January the 25th to discuss general purposes. Our next committee meetings are Buildings, Grounds, and Transportation next Monday night, the 18th at 5:30, and Audit and Finance before the board meeting on the 25th, also at 5:30. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Schroth, you're muted, sir.
I'm sorry. Nothing was heard, so the chair assumes unanimous approval to adjourn from the meeting. Again, I thank everybody for attending this evening's meeting, and good night.
Mr. Schroth, could you and Mr. Vukovic please stay after for some questions?
Sure.
Yeah, I can do that. It's not a problem, Josh.
All right, thank you. And actually, Mr. Schroth, I'll start with you. Obviously, you were upset with the comments made over social media about the rumor of the closure of Horace Mann, and you dedicated your board president message to it. Just so that I have it on record, just kind of the basics. I mean, obviously, Horace Mann is not on the list. Is not even considered at this point.
So Josh, first of all, if you need a copy of this, I can send you a digital copy. I may need your email address to do that.
I'll get that to you.
Okay. Quite frankly, the whole concept of the governance, rules of governance, and so on, we're doing everything we can to make sure that we are transparent and that everything is done in the public, in front of the public. But more importantly, I think you'll find that the requirement is just for us to do it in front of the public, but we've bent over backwards to ensure that our involvement and take input from the public in a variety of ways. And other than that, I think my comments pretty much stand for themselves.
All right, that's fine. Mr. Vukovic, obviously. Okay, there we go. Mr. Vukovic, obviously, same sort of boat that you're in, because of the fact that you've been hearing about these rumors going left, right, and center. But you also mentioned